What up, Ooses? It's me and Andrew Lee. It's Gootz's Wrestling Pod. I am. Andrew was too busy having Easter because he cares about his family. Um, we are recovering from WrestleMania weekend, a very controversial weekend, however, a very fun one. Andrew, this was my fourth time at WrestleMania. I only went Saturday, and I realized that on TV, yes, the match results matter. Yes, the booking matters. The match quality matters when you're home watching it on TV. And if the show sucks, it's a waste of your time. However, I do feel that it's more about the experience. It's more about traveling. It's kind of like being at a music festival when you go to WrestleMania. It's more about being part of the city that the WrestleMania is in. So even though WrestleMania Night One really only had two and a half good matches, I had a great time. But if I had watched that at home, I don't know if I would have felt that way. But all in all, what are your thoughts on stuff that went down this weekend at WrestleMania?
Well, I think let's actually. I was pretty annoyed by some of the results, like the Jey
Oh yeah,
Uso thing.
especially night. I'll say
Yeah,
night two has to be one of the worst main events in recent years. I can't think of a worse. Well, yeah, I can. Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Iron Man, but that at least had a good finish. That had a
yeah.
finish that propelled the company forward into. I didn't really agree with the direction, but it's a direction. This was just an awful match and a horrible finish. Cody Rhodes versus John Cena. Did you get a chance to watch the match or no?
No, I don't think I'm gonna watch WrestleMania at all. But here's the thing: sometimes there's really good Super Bowls, and sometimes there's really bad Super Bowl, right?
Mhm.
But it doesn't change the fact that there's going to be a Super Bowl the following year, and people are going to be excited to go and they're going to watch it in record numbers. Same thing's going to happen with WrestleMania. There's some duds, but there are some great ones. It doesn't matter. Next year, people are going to be excited for WrestleMania and they're going to watch it. People are still going to come. Doesn't matter how bad it was.
Everything.
John Cena could have taken a shit in the middle of that ring.
I think that would have
And
been better than what they did.
I guarantee you, next year people will be like, "Do you think they're gonna do a callback to last year's WrestleMania when John Cena took a shit?" They're gonna. This is gonna follow. Doesn't matter. Like
I'll
nothing.
say this. I'll say this. All four of my WrestleMania weeks that I went to WrestleMania, I've had some really great moments, some unforgettable moments. I mean, we had those awesome Ruts hot dogs before the TNA show. I'll never forget those hot dogs. That was part of WrestleMania week.
Well,
I think WrestleMania week now is more about an experience for everyone, including the wrestlers who don't even work in WWE. They're creating experiences and getting reps in. I mean, I saw Darby Allin 2019. He was killing it. Austin Theory. It's too important to ever stop at this point. And I think even if
I don't think
WWE,
it should stop. I don't think it
it's,
will stop. It's an
I think
institution now.
if WWE is unwatchable, like I'm talking about, like Chuck Palumbo wrestles an Iron Man match every week for the next 52 weeks, right? I would probably still go to WrestleMania
Yeah, that's what
and
I'm saying. It's still
I
gonna
would
be
have a great
around.
time.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, it's still gonna
Doesn't
be around.
matter.
Um, I if you can't afford WrestleMania tickets, which I totally understand, especially these
Just the price
days. If you are someone who has the ability to be in the same location as a WrestleMania, I highly recommend you check out the weekend. There's going to be tons of indie shows that, like as Ray mentioned, is probably gonna be as much fun or as sometimes even better than the actual WrestleMania itself. You get to see a lot of the best way to say it is you get a lot of bang for your buck. Um,
You're seeing, bro. I went 2019. I
mhm.
went to Evolve. I saw Austin Theory wrestle somebody. I don't know who it was. The next WrestleMania I went to, he's wrestling John Cena, opening match. He was at
Do you
Evolve at a
remember?
fucking at a nightclub in Queens by Taco Bell, and then he's
Do you
wrestling John.
remember one of those shows we went to? I was telling you to come to the one that I was gonna watch, and you were like, "No, I'm going to this other one." And the one I watched had Robbie Eagles on it. It had Alex Zane on it. It had Shotzi Blackheart on it, and
Hmm.
it had such a low turnout that you could just spread out. And meanwhile, I think the show that you went to wasn't that good.
It was Fun Equals Money, but our good friend, who I'm
Yeah,
actually going
funny
with him,
that was stupid. Yeah, I remember that.
but our friend was on it. I don't know if he's your friend. He's my friend, Dan Barry, who I'm going to Disneyland with on Friday, by the way. So, you
Oh,
know,
okay. Good for
that's
you
why I
guys.
went. My friend was on it. I had to. I saw Scott Steiner. I think Scott Steiner fought. No, Dan Maff fought Hornswoggle. Who the fuck did Scott Steiner wrestle that night? I don't know.
This
But
was
I looked.
actually this was back in 2016.
Oh, I'm talking about 2019, bro.
Oh wait, was it
We
2019?
Yes, the WrestleMania week that we spent a lot of time together was 2019, right before COVID. It was the final one night WrestleMania.
Yeah. That was.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to
You
look
know
at
what's going to be interesting?
the card.
What was the year where all
Yeah,
these
you went to
shows?
Rawway. That's right. You went to Rawway. This
Mhm.
was on the lineup that you saw. You did see Kika Taro, who I've seen in person. Scarlett Bordeaux was on it.
Yeah, she looked amazing, bro. Dude, I still don't know why
Still
they're not.
looks amazing. She still looks
Why is she
amazing.
not getting a push? Why is she not getting a significant like next big thing push? Anyway,
Anyways, oh, the Blue World Order. I guess you saw the Blue World Order and
yes,
Santino
that was
Marella.
Nova's final match in New York. Who?
Santino Marella.
Yes, I saw him. I did see Colt Cabana. He's on that. He's on that, right?
Yeah, that's actually his show. Yeah.
Oh, well, I guess CM
Okay.
Punk.
Well, that's why this is actually the reason this show, Funny Equals Money, is actually the reason why CM Punk hates Colt Cabana.
Uh, but
All right,
like, but like,
respectable lineup for that show. I'll say
here's
that.
the because we've been doing the podcast now since 2023. I didn't like the finish of Roman versus Cody, but the match was fantastic, right? Up until the finish. This match, Cody versus Cena, the match it was awful, and then the finish was even worse. But I will say, I'll tell you the first night, the three matches that I thought were really good. Jey Uso versus Gunther. And do not listen. I'm going to say this about Jey Uso because I agree with the internet, but you should not listen to me and you should not listen to the internet on Jey Uso because that fucking building was on fire for Jey Uso. The only person who got a bigger pop the night I was there was CM Punk. I mean, they were on fire. I almost think the big mistake of night one was putting Jey Uso's match first. It's like putting Hulk Hogan's match first, you know? And then shoving out Tito Santana next. It's like he's fucking over, bro. Like everyone was going nuts, and that match wasn't that bad. I
Well,
don't know,
that's why they put the title on him.
dude. You can't. He's undeniable. When you're in the building, and you see everyone going nuts for him, it's like this is undeniable. Don't listen to the internet. Undeniable. The other match that was really good exceeded all expectations, and you should check this one out. Actually, I was shocked how good it was. Was LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu. That match was fantastic, and LA Knight pulls off some great moves. Remember last week I said I think it's time to write off LA Knight. I don't think so anymore, brother. I think this guy has a lot left in the tank, and I think you could have him fight John Cena, and people be going nuts. That was a really good match. I don't know if you
There
saw
was
it.
there was three title changes night one.
Yeah,
Amazing.
that was a fantastic match. The other match that was fantastic was the main event: CM Punk versus Roman Seth. Punk's entrance was one of the best entrances I have seen live. Did you see the music video they played beforehand? He came out with his Fire Burns.
No, I didn't watch anything. I did not watch a single thing of
They do
WrestleMania.
a video package, and it starts off. It's his ECW promos from 2006, and then it cuts back and forth between him now and him in 2006, cutting the same promo. And then it goes to this Fire Burns, and it's him like as an old man, like him now. This is my night. I earned this. And it's cutting back and forth between him in 2006, him in 2010, him in 2011. And they play this Fire Burns. And this didn't come across on TV. But in the arena, I'm sorry, in the stadium, the entire stadium was singing this Fire Burns, like singing along to the song. And it was fucking awesome. And then he came out to a living color. But you should check out the video to set to this Fire Burns. It's really good. It'll make you feel old. It'll make you because you know what, bro? 2006 feels like yesterday, and then when you see him in 2006 and him now cutting the same promo, you're like, God damn, I'm gonna be fucking dead soon. Like, holy shit, you know?
I'll have to check that out. I'm gonna check that out when I get to it.
So let's talk a little bit more about one other thing. The Rock. Did you see The Rock today on Pat, whatever the fuck his name is, Pat McCaffrey?
No, what did he talk about Pat McCaffrey? Hey, you gotta stop smoking that pot. Stop smoking
No, but
ganja.
did you see Gunther last night choke out Pat McCaffrey and Michael Cole?
No, one thing I did see, someone put clipped up a video of Cena kind of giving him uh, Pat McAfee a hard time about constantly being high.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. Next week we're doing Halloween Havoc 96. Um, if you still think this Cena's heel turn is as good as Hulk Hogan, you're out of your fucking mind. You're completely delusional. Cena's not even.
I don't think. Well, he
I
was
hate
saying,
this shit
you
where
know what
someone
Cena
does something
was
like almost
doing.
unforgivable, and then
Wait,
they're on
Cena,
ESPN
hold on.
joking around.
Cena
Like I
wasn't
just
in
feel like
character.
Cena shouldn't even be on ESPN. He should just be like, I'm not even gonna talk to you. Go fuck yourself, Pat McCaffrey. I don't give a
No,
fuck
but
about anything.
Cena wasn't in character.
But I don't. I want. I feel like when you do an angle this big, you need to play by different rules.
I see what you're saying. So you're saying he should have really just been in character.
Or he should have been like, I'm not doing the interview. Go fuck yourself and walk
Yeah,
away.
yeah, you're right. Yeah. But like this is like the same thing we talked about with like in the sense of we talked about Joe Hendry. It's like old school mentality, you're like, this is terrible, but like new school mentality is like everybody knows this is not real. So why are we
Yeah.
pretending? It would be like, you know how remember when Jim Carrey was filming Man on the Moon, the Andy Kaufman movie, and he would
Mhm.
refuse to get out of the character that he pissed everybody off.
But but then again,
It's kind of like that though.
Why does
Why are
John
you
Cena
doing
need to do Pat McCaffrey? Why can't CM Punk or why can't Charlotte Flair do it? He doesn't need to be on Pat McCaffrey. You made him
Yeah,
go
it
on it.
doesn't need to, but I think it's like I I mean number one, you're like I agree with you. This is
Yeah.
nowhere near Hogan's turn, but it's just like um he it's just like in an age where everybody admits this is not real. Everybody knows this is an act. It would
I
be
know,
like
but there's just
it would be if like Robert Downey Jr. was doing all his interviews as Tony Stark. That would be weird. It would be like, why are you?
But wrestling can be weird. Like, can you imagine? Like, they didn't film the fucking roast, right? There's things are leaking out. All right, so we're not gonna release the roast, right? But can you imagine Tony Hinchcliffe makes a joke about John Cena, and then John Cena just comes out, and they have to show it on Raw. Like, we were gonna release this. John Cena just fucking beats the shit out of Tony Hinchcliffe, and the roast just ends like that. Like, you do like a 90-minute show, but at the end, like he just beats the crap out of Tony Hinchcliffe and Secure. Like, you're not supposed to do this. And then they show it on Raw. Like, he's out of control. Like, you do these 5 or 6 little things that you wouldn't do. And I think that, like, next year you could charge $9 million for fucking WrestleMania
Yeah,
tickets.
but in your scenario, it doesn't make any sense either because John Cena is supposed to be a heel. So why is he doing something that that a
No,
good
no,
guy would?
because, well, according to WWE logic, we're supposed to like Tony Hinchcliffe because he's a lovable. WWE logic is Tony Hinchcliffe's a babyface, and WWE logic
Oh,
is
John John Cena beats a Tony and goes, oh, Cena broke character. He doesn't know how to
for
be
the
a heel.
listen, for me and you, he would that would be a babyface turn.
That would be a babyface. Then I'll be like, yo, he's turning again.
But if you frame it on TV, like Tony Hinchcliffe was just having a laugh, he's a comedian, he's a happy guy, and John Cena's just pulverizing him. You'd be like, this guy's out of control.
Oh,
He's out of
pulverizer.
control.
That's the Logan Paul finishing move, the pulverizer. That's a good move. That's a good move.
By the way, have you seen Karrion Cross's promo?
Yeah, I did see that. That's a chef's kiss promo.
Bro, I never believed in that guy until that promo.
See, I was always a Killer Cross guy, and if you know that, I've always stood by him. The first time I saw him in like MLW, I was like, this guy's fucking got it. He's got it. They just haven't been using him well. I'm telling you, he's got it. You know, everybody who thinks he's a shitty wrestler because he doesn't do a 500 fucking flips and fucking like
I never say he's a shitty wrestler.
no,
I
but
just don't
I'm
think
not saying you, but there's a lot of people who didn't like him because he doesn't wrestle that shitty style where nobody sells. Like he's carrying Killer Cross. At the end of the promo, he calls himself Killer Cross too, which I
That
love
was
because
great.
that was his indie name. He is a throwback. And people don't. I don't think they understand that. He's like MJF likes to think that he's a throwback to like old school heels. He's actually not. Carrying Cross is a real throwback. That's why he doesn't get. He's not as people don't. The newer fans don't understand as much because they just don't understand that aspect of him. But that was a that's one of those promos that's so good because I don't know like what of it.
How
What?
much was approved? You
Yes,
don't know
yes. How
how
much
much he
was
made up
approved?
on the spot and how much he cleared with like triple big nose.
Triple.
I will say, so did you see the picture I sent you? Stephanie with my nephew?
Yeah, how did that happen? Did your nephew go with you or something?
No, him and his dad went separately for his birthday and for Christmas. His dad got him front row seat. Birthday and Christmas. Yeah, birthday. Yeah, his birthday's right by Christmas. So like instead of like gifts on the tree, he got him like front row WrestleMania tickets, right?
Holy crap!
So after Stephanie night two, I missed it because, dude, Peacock is such bullshit. Like you can only, if the show's live, you can only rewind 2 hours. So I caught like the beginning. I can only go back to the Rhea Ripley, the start of that Rhea Ripley match. I couldn't. But I guess Stephanie came out and said, "Welcome to WrestleMania" at night two, and then she was sitting by him and the dad, and they took a photo, and she was very, very nice. And you know what? I said to somebody, "Shit, now I have to be like pro Triple H and pro Stephanie because they were nice to my little nephew." I will say this about WWE, and I saw this at Ringside Collectibles when they had Ringside Fest. Everyone, if you ever wonder how come this person keeps getting a fucking push, everyone who has a sustained role in that company, when I saw them at Ringside Fest, they were super nice to kids. Like they treated kids like fucking kings, and everyone who didn't know how to act around kids is gone. Daniel Bryan, gone. Fucking Zack Ryder, gone. Fucking Christian never was pushed. But you fucking someone like Goldust and Cody Rhodes, they were nice to every fucking kid, and that's why Goldust was there for 20 years. You know?
Um, is it okay if I ask you how much they paid for their tickets?
Yeah, I'll tell you later. I don't know. I don't think he listens to it, but I don't want to put out his business. I'll tell you later. You know what
That's
I'm saying?
incredible. What a gift. I was gonna say, I hope that kid better. If I was the father, I would bring it up every year. Remember that time?
Yeah, and then my nephew was like, "Yeah, and then Travis Scott ruined everything, Dad. What a waste of money."
Remember when I had to sell my kidney to get you front row seats at WrestleMania?
Well, to be fair, he bought them the immediate day it went on sale, so he didn't do any upsell resale. I don't know what it was day
Yeah,
one.
but that
Yeah,
still was a lot of money. Don't that's
he
ridiculous.
he
That's
didn't
crazy.
sleep on it. He jumped on it right away. He didn't sleep on it.
Wow.
But yeah, Stephanie. But I do think the thing that I'll give WWE credit is that everyone who like they know how to treat kids, and I think that's very smart because you probably secured my nephew for life, and his parents are going to be like, Stephanie was nice to him, so we can't hate this company, you know?
Yeah, I mean that's how you secure lifelong fans. You're thinking ahead. Yeah,
Yeah, but I feel like so many people that went to AEW or TNA, like Matt, I'll tell you this, Matt Cardona did not know how to talk. Like so many little kids loved him. He didn't even know he didn't know how to be nice. He was just like a fucking stone. It was like, bro, that's why you went. I think that stuff is more important to them than in ring work and promos.
I think so too. Yeah.
They observe how you act with people, and if like some kid's dying and you don't know how to talk to them, like, hey, was this Make a Wish to meet Chavo Guerrero? And Chavo's just sitting there reading a newspaper. They're like, yeah, no, don't push this fucking guy. I don't give a fuck. He can do a frog splash. Go fuck himself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So let's talk about The Rock. The Rock was on Pat McCaffrey today. Pat McCaffrey. Who the fuck is Pat McCaffrey? I think it's a comedian. Um, he was on Pat McAfee, and he said that Ari Emanuel begged him to do Elimination Chamber because ticket sales were terrible. And he came up with the idea of Cody Rhodes is going to sell his soul to me, then he'll turn heel. And then it'll be a face John Cena versus a heel Cody Rhodes. And Triple H wanted it to be John Cena. I mean, John Cena turned heel. John Cena was down with it. They did the angle, and at the end of it, this is what Rock claims. The Rock said he went to Cody and he went to John Cena in the back. He was like, you know what, you guys don't need me anymore. I just get in the way. You guys do your own thing. He said, I don't think, we can always revisit me down the road, but I think right now the story is Cena ruining wrestling, breaking Ric Flair's record. I'm not the story. I call bullshit on all of that. What do you have to say, Andrew Lee, bro?
Um, I mean, I don't know. I don't even know how to think about that. Like, what do you think is bullshit?
It's just if you don't want to be involved after the opening night, why are you beating the shit out of he beats the shit out of Cody Rhodes with John Cena. They kind of make it very apparent that Rock and Cena are now a team, and Rock is going to be like his mentor.
Yeah.
Everything that they do in that moment indicates, and that's the hook. There's one thing that Cena's heel. There's another thing that now The Rock is going to be like his like manager, and they're both going to be heels, and they're after Cody, especially because Cody ruined the Rock's match last year. There's a lot of story there, and for The Rock to be like, "You don't need me anymore," I'm like, bro, you're not that stupid. You're not that dumb to think like, because you wouldn't have put yourself that involved in the angle if you thought the angle didn't really need you. You would have like dipped out of the ring while Cena beat him up. You know what I'm
No, I
saying?
think it's more of I think The Rock had an idea of what he wanted to do, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
And Triple H had an idea of what he wanted to do, right? And because Triple H is the guy who's really running the storyline aspect of it, he got his way. And I think The Rock is in a position where he's like, well, if you're not going to do it my way, I don't want to be involved, right? But he
I think that's
can't,
for it.
yeah, he can't say that publicly because then he looks like a bitch. So he's saying it like the professional way of like, oh, I just didn't want to get in the way. I wouldn't be like, my theory is that eventually Rock and his crew, Nick Khan, who is a childhood friend of his, and that
They're
the guy
gonna
who,
Triple H.
yeah, TKO, their objective is to get both Triple H and HBK out of there. It's gonna happen, I think.
I think this is what happened because I was listening to Laps fan,
Okay.
and they had a theory too. Because if you watch the Raw after that, CM Punk cuts a huge promo on The Rock and Cena, and it kind of indicates that CM Punk is not coming just for Cena; he's coming for The Rock. So for CM Punk to cut that promo, he fucking sat down with Hunter and shit. They still were assuming on that Monday that Rock is going to be involved going forward. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because why is CM Punk doing that promo? What I think happened was they had a meeting, and Triple H saw it one way, and Rock saw it another way. And I
Yeah.
think Cena and Cody agreed more with Triple H than The
Yeah.
Rock. And The
Yes.
Rock was like, these guys don't have my back. Triple H is
Yes.
an idiot. My way is better. You know what? Let them go down this road this way. Let's watch attendance fall. Let's watch ratings plummet. And then I'll have more of a leg to be like, you listen to Triple H, all of you, and look what happened. And I guarantee you, right now, I guarantee you, The Rock has called Cody Rhodes, like, you listen to Triple H, look what a fucking idiot you look like at WrestleMania. After all I did,
I don't think he called Cody for that. I don't think
but
he would do
and
that.
I'm
But
saying I wouldn't be surprised if Rock is thinking that in his head. Like, you listen to Triple H
oh
and
yeah, yeah.
look how stupid you looked. Where if you went with my plan, you would have looked like $1 million, even losing to Cena.
Exactly. Yeah. I know in the Rock's head that's but he's what he's Rock's a smart guy. He's
Mhm.
not somebody who's gonna say out loud what he's thinking in his head, right? Um, and I think he had a diva moment, right? Instead of because you know what the real professional thing would have been. The real professional thing to do was they're going with Triple H's idea, but I'm still a team player. So
But he's
Triple
not.
H, I exactly that's what I'm saying. If he was a true professional, he would have just like swallowed his ego, swallowed his pride, and just been like, let me still be involved because I'm already in this. How can I be of use? Instead, he pulled himself out of it to Rich in a way does sabotage Triple H's thing already because
Yeah,
he
because all
started it.
people are thinking is, "Where's the Rock?" For a set,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what we were thinking.
exactly. So
Where
he's kind of sabotaging Triple H to begin with. But here's the thing: if The Rock's plan and his group's plan is to ultimately get Triple H out of there, I have no problems with that because I think Triple
That's a
H is
great plan to me.
doing a terrible job so far. And it's not just the main event, dude. That's the thing. It's not just the main event. It's like up and down the card. It's like
Well, it's like
boring.
it's like yes, the Seth Rollins three-way was great live. I have to rewatch it on TV. It was a great match, but it's like I know those guys can have a great match. But how much better would that match have been if they had a great story or there was a title at stake? Like, what if Roman was the champ or Punk was the champ and Seth used Paul Heyman to take the title away? That's a better story. Like, it was a lazy story going in. Anyone can listen. Tony
You know
Khan
what that
proves
sounds like to me? You know what that sounds like to me?
what
AEW. Because
exactly.
they
That's
have
what I'm
the
about to
same
say, bro.
situation. Yeah. They have the same thing. They have
Will
great matches. Nobody is denying that AEW has great matches. But there's never like any coherent storyline going on. And
exactly,
that's what this three-way is. I don't give a fuck about it. And
dude.
I'm non-biased. I'm calling it both ways. AEW does it. That's why I didn't watch WrestleMania. I didn't give a shit. There was nothing there for me to want to watch, you know?
Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega, yeah, you could put them on tomorrow night and give them 40 minutes, and they're gonna fucking have all the internet ejaculating on themselves. But imagine if you fucking do a storyline where I don't know, I'm just throwing this out here. Will Ospreay attacks Kenny Omega's sister. I don't know if he has a sister. Like you do like a saga, and like Will Ospreay's heel, and Kenny Omega's trying to get to him, and finally it gets to him, and it's in a steel cage, and like it's like you beat up my wife, or you beat up my boyfriend, or you did something.
Sister was good. Jenny Omega. Jenny Omega.
You beat up my sister Jenny. You beat up my sister Jenny Sparks from the Authority, and
Jen,
I'm gonna fuck you up. It's like because then you build it, and then
yeah, it builds
it's
up
like.
to Jenny Omega on a pole match. Everybody knows this. God,
But I'm just saying, like you do a little bit, like yeah, I know, yeah, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Seth are gonna deliver. They delivered, but it's
That's not
like
the question. Yeah, it's just
that's
like
not the point.
that's
That's not
not
the
what
point. It's
wrestling
like
is about.
I had no, and what the fuck else? I was gonna say something else about.
You know who else has great wrestling matches? Your local indie wrestling company.
Yeah,
And you know
exactly.
what? If you just want to watch good wrestling athleticism, you could catch it anywhere. That's
Yeah.
not why people want to flock to WWE. It's because of storylines that build up these larger than life characters and stuff. You think the Undertaker is the Undertaker because he could fucking do because of the dives he always did? No, it wasn't just it's because of the mythos, the story arc of him as a character. Do you think Macho Man was like everybody loves him even to this day because he did the flying elbow when nobody else was doing it? No, it's because of the story arc of him as a character and his charisma in the ring. Um, just non athletic criticism, charisma. I don't know what the fuck. Anyway,
Sorry, it's all right.
yeah.
You know what I also think? I also think why The Rock went out and settled this today. I also think Cena has now realized it was a mistake. Um, the Cena heel turn was such a protected thing, and it really should be the moment that changes the WWE forever, and it hasn't.
Mhm.
Doesn't really mean anything anymore. But the Cena heel turn was such an important thing, and I think the way they started it, fuck Travis Scott. But whatever. With Rock and Cena now, like they're joined forces. They're both Hollywood prima donnas. They're going to destroy everyone in the wrestling. That's a great start. That's a fucking hot. That's a start that can fuel you for 3 more years if Cena sticks around, right? But the follow up was so bad, and I think now Cena realizes, like, fuck, it would have been better if Cody turned heel and I didn't. Like if Cody sold his soul, not me, and that was The Rock's plan, I think Cena said to Rock, "Yeah, put it out there that was Triple H's plan, not yours. Put it out there. Fuck it, you're right. Triple H is an idiot." Because now I'm stuck doing this shitty heel turn, and me and Vince protected this heel turn for years, and we just wasted it. We wasted it.
I don't know about that, but you know what we should do? We should move on because fuck it.
We got
Yeah.
to go back to a time where Triple H was in his rightful place as a
Yeah.
fucking bitch to Steve Austin and Mr. Perfect, two real wrestling legends who should be running wrestling. Except Mr. Perfect died 20 years ago, buried alive. That's what Cody Rhodes was. He was buried alive at WrestleMania. But Undertaker and Mankind are going to bury each other alive. Overall, what did you think of this show before we get into the match by match breakdown?
It was average. It was average. What did you think?
I think what I thought 20 years ago, because I bought this on VHS in '98 when I got back into wrestling. Austin Triple H was a pretty good match and a pretty good indicator of the future of the company. Everything else was just basically an angle to build the Survivor Series,
Yeah, I think that's a fair way to, and I think
including
that's a fair way
including
to,
my favorite, including that match, Austin Triple H.
yeah, and I think that's a good way to view in your houses, right? I mean, this is still in your house, and in your house is not one of the during this time, it's still not a one of the major WWF pay per
And it's
views, right?
also cheaper, so you can't you don't have you don't expect a big
Yeah,
show.
it's cheaper, exactly. So it's like a show. It's like a pay per view set up to it's a pay per view designed to set up the next pay per view, and I totally get that. Um, it is it is what it is. In your house, buried alive, Dead Man's Paradise, Dead or Alive, taking place October 20th, 1996 in Indianapolis, Indiana. 9,649 people are in attendance, 100,000 pay-per-view buys. Let's do a
What
little.
was mine?
I'm sorry.
What was Mind Games pay per view buys again?
Mind Games had 13,000 people and it had 120,000 pay-per-view buys. So 20,000 less, not a big deal. Not too much of a difference. But you know what? It is a big difference. Is the WCW October pay per view, right? So this WCW, they had Halloween Havoc, which is taking place October 27th. So it's 7 days after Buried Alive. So if you look at the previous ones, WCW's pay per view comes first, and then WWF, and they kind of switch the order. So WWF pay per view comes first. Because what I was thinking was like, I wonder if you go first, more people are because you already bought one pay per view
Well,
early in
I
this.
think WCW has to stick with the end of the month because of its Halloween Havoc, so they has to be
No,
close
no,
behind it.
yeah, but what I was thinking, what I was trying to get at is when we're watching these pay per views starting in 2016, WCW pay per views have more numbers, right? They have more buys. And I was thinking, oh, I wonder if it's because they're earlier than WWF. So people are like, I already bought a pay per view this month. I can't buy another one. That's what I was thinking. Well, these numbers right here for October prove that doesn't matter at all because WWF's pay per views a week earlier. Halloween Havoc had 250,000 pay per view buys. That's more. That's more than 100,000. That means people were if you could only buy one pay per view in the month, you were like, "Nah, I'm gonna skip this Buried Alive. I gotta save this money for Halloween Havoc." Like that's how.
Well, the main event of Halloween Havoc is Hogan versus Macho Man, and they had not main evented a pay per view since WrestleMania 5. So there was a
True.
fever. There's a fever for that match, bro. You know, you could have main evented if they were still around WrestleMania 10 or 11 with them again. I mean, you've
Yeah,
done fucking 4 Brock Lesnar Roman fucking main events. You could have done Hogan Savage, and I think it would have done
true.
better business.
WWF even at that time they did back to back same main events of Bret versus Yoko.
But I'm saying like people hadn't seen Savage Hogan on a pay per view in years at this point, and they wanted it. They wanted some more.
Yeah,
And
no. What I'm saying is the WWF like they've shown that they'll repeat a main event
yeah,
at
yeah, yeah,
WrestleMania. They should have. You're right. I agree.
yeah.
I think he'll never admit it because he's an egomaniac. But Junior, I think even he knows he made a mistake letting those guys go early.
Yeah, I
Like,
saw some smart fans being like, "Well, no, because it actually was better for WWE because the work rate improved." Mm-mm, mm-mm. He almost went out of business. If
yeah,
Austin, 2 wrong moves by Steve Austin, they don't come back ever. They don't to this day. Um, he made a mistake giving up Hogan and Macho Man so soon. It's
he
just
did.
it's undeniable.
Like I said, he'll never admit it, but I think deep down inside he knows he made that mistake too. You know?
And he lucked out. And he lucked out. He lucked
Yeah,
out
he
because who would think
100% lucked out. Yeah, he 100% lucked out.
there
Don't get me
was
wrong.
no in 1993 there was no strategy like I'm going to get rid of Hogan, but I'm going to build up stunning Steve Austin, and he will make me a billionaire. That was
Yeah,
never in anyone's mind.
yeah, and it was like a combination of a couple of things. Number one, he had the talent, right? That Austin and Rock caught fire the way they did. Number two, WCW started sucking real bad, right? And number three, he did put a lot of effort in himself. Like I gotta give him the credit for that. But without it was a perfect storm of those three combination of things that got him to survive and surpass WCW. If WCW, let's just say, if they
If,
had the if they
I'll
had
say,
done
I'll tell you.
wait,
I'm
hold on,
sorry.
let me finish my thought. Yeah. If
Sorry.
WCW had done the thing that you and I talked about, where they start building up this new generation and Sting with these new generation topple the NWO, right? They actually topple the NWO. And then like there's a new version of the NWO and they can't keep having this evergreen kind of like feud going on. If that happened and Rock and Austin still started catching fire in WWF, do you think WWF would still be able to top WCW if that
No,
yeah, because they
no.
had so much momentum at that point, right?
If Sting had beaten Hogan fair and square at Starrcade '97, they wouldn't have been able to topple WCW. WCW went out of their way to fuck with the fans, and meanwhile, WWF is going out of their way to appease the fans. And look what happened. Look what happened. Yeah, no, I mean, we'll talk more about it when we get to next week. But
Uh-huh.
watching this Cena heel turn and how like they can't deviate from their plans. If AEW had someone as smart as Hulk Hogan, Hulk Hogan in '96, Hulk Hogan's an idiot now. If they had someone as smart as Hulk Hogan and Kevin Nash working for them now, I don't know if AEW got hot. I don't know if WWE could keep up because they are so set in their ways and they have this confidence that they can be set in their ways because everyone else is an idiot. But Hogan just was out. He was outsmarting and outfoxing Vince McMahon in this era. In this era, but the fact that he was willing to strip away everything that worked and go with new stuff, and that's the problem with the Cena heel turn, is that he's not willing to walk away from everything that he's ever done, like Hogan did.
Yeah. All
And
right.
yeah, man. But we'll
Yeah,
talk
let's
about
get
the show. It's
into
stunk.
let's get into Buried Alive, which is presented to us by Sony PlayStation. I like that. Um,
Mhm.
we have Vince Jr., Jerry the King Lawler, and Jim Ross on commentary. Before the show begins, they're standing there with the microphone. Jim Ross doesn't have a microphone. He gets all annoyed. Hey, you guys get a microphone. I don't get one. So Junior gives Jim Ross his microphone, and before Jim Ross can talk, Triple H's music will play and interrupt Jim Ross, so he's already annoyed before the pay-per-view begins. This is a theme that's gonna kind of continue. It's gonna be annoying, but we'll get more into it as it
Mhm.
happens.
Vince looked a little Mr. McMahon like when he went, "Here's my microphone." Like,
Yeah,
mhm.
he's. It started at the last pay-per-view, but he's kind of already kind of taking on a persona himself. You know?
Well, the
Uh,
undercurrent of JR's whole thing is that this is an act, what you're seeing, and the real Vince McMahon is a piece of shit. And Vince McMahon is kind of just laughing it off and downplaying it. So
yeah.
this does look the start of the Mr. McMahon character.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Um, before this first match, before the opening match, Kevin Kelly's in the back with Stone Cold Steve Austin, and he's talking to him because originally Austin's opponent was going to be Savio Vega, but he's injured, so that's why they replaced it with Hunter Helmsley, and he wants to get Austin's thoughts on it. Austin's like, it doesn't change anything because everybody is on my list right now, which is pretty cool because Austin is doing already this character of like, I don't care if you're a bad guy, I don't care if you're a good guy, everybody is on my list. I love that. I love these anti hero, like this neutral character. It's fantastic. He is like Austin at this point, he is like that wild card factor, you know? He's like the Joker in the sense of I don't care like what's right or wrong. It's I'm just here to cause chaos. That's all it is, you know? And
Yeah.
I love that. He messes up, he disrupts establishments. So,
Um, he
yeah.
walks to the ring and he has his music. He has the first draft of his theme music. It's Hey, he remember he last month he was still coming out with like some weird like horror music.
Yeah, and by the way, before let me just going back to this promo. He does mention Bret Hart. He goes, Bret Hart's gonna be on Raw the next night, I guess, to talk about his return. But he was like, Brett should announce his retirement instead. And he goes, and he can kiss my ass. So this is 1996. Saying those words like kiss my ass in 1996 was a big fucking no-no. You know, it was like this is what part of his appeal was. Like he was like one of the few guys like using this kind of language on TV. I remember it was like a big deal. Like him saying the words as and stuff like that. I was like, oh my God, right? It was a big
Yeah,
deal. You do mention, yes, he came out with this is the first time he comes out with that traditional Stone Cold Steve Austin music. He had the Ringmaster music. It was shitty. It was like that weird, sounded like Mankind's music in the past, right?
yeah. It was what didn't fit him. Now suddenly he has a thing that fits him,
Not
and
only
it's
that,
funny.
wearing that vest that's got
Hmm.
like stitches on it. Yeah,
And he goes to the corner, raises his hands,
yeah,
and he's doing a lot of things that are going to become Austin. And there's some people, not a lot, there's some people cheering him, and
yeah.
other people are like, "You're a bag of dicks."
He's already figured it out right now. By now, like
Yeah.
he's already figured everything out. He's just waiting for everyone else to get on board. Um, as Austin is coming out to the ring, he is like he's even like getting into it with the fans, right? Like this was this one fat fan Red, and he was just like getting into it, and I fucking loved it. And then did you see that kid, that fat? Nah, I shouldn't say kid, but he was like a big red guy in the front row, opposite Hardcam. And before the match begins, Austin goes out and he starts like cursing the guy off. I don't know what he said, but after that, and Austin gets back in the ring, Triple H goes out to
Yeah.
talk to that guy too. I don't know what it was. I don't know if he said something really offensive. Maybe he was talking about, "Hey, Savio Vega, I hope he really got injured in real life." Maybe that's what he said. And both guys were like, "Hey, don't talk about Savio like that." But
Maybe he was like, you know what? I think John Cena should turn heel, and they were
yeah,
like, "Hey,
maybe that's what he said. Um, during this match, Jim Ross has all these mic problems that distracts a little bit, but it is what it is. It's so annoying. The crowd it chants for Mr. Perfect, who is going to have a match against Hunter on Raw the
which
next night.
never happens, by the way."
It never happens. How come?
It was a ruse to beat up Mark Mero, and the direction they're going is Hunter Hearst Helmsley is now Mr. Perfect's apprentice, and then
Ah,
Mr. Perfect wants more money from Vince. Vince goes no, and he leaves for WCW.
interesting. Thanks for that background. Uh,
So nothing, and so the next week Triple H to go out like, you know what? Actually, I don't need the help of Mr. Perfect, and then you never see Mr. Perfect again. So, well, you see him in 2002, but that's a whole different world by the time we get there.
yeah. So Austin and Trip Hunter they double clothesline each other, and then Mr. Perfect actually does come out, and he comes out to a big pop from the crowd. Mr. Perfect starts distracting Hunter by taking that the woman he was who accompanied him at ringside, and then Mr. Perfect gets into it with Austin as well, and who throws water at Mr. Perfect, and Mr. Perfect's all mad, but then Hunter suplexes Austin on the concrete aisle, and then Hunter slingshots. Then Hunter gets slingshot into the post. Austin tells the crowd to fuck off. He tells him "fuck you," and then he gives Hunter the fingers, the middle fingers, and then he gives him a stunner to win the match. Um, you see, he's already figured out already like I'm giving you the fingers. You look at them, you're shocked that somebody's giving you the middle fingers, and I kick you, and I give you the stunner. He already figured it out. But unfortunately, there's just too much going on in this match with like Jim Ross being on like my mic's cutting out. What the hell is going on here? You guess what kind of organization is this? The Mr. Perfect coming out. Is this too much for that for me to enjoy? I gave it a C. It's an average match at best.
I liked it. It's setting up the future. I had a big laugh. Austin gives Hunter the finger, and Jerry Lawler goes, maybe he just thinks he's number one. And I just thought that was like Austin just goes like, "Ah, I think you're actually a great guy. You're number one." The other thing I like about the early Austin is when he starts cursing, Vince will just talk over him. All right. Like in other words, like Vince is like, shit, I can't have this hair. It's gonna fuck us.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, all right. Like all these little things that are like he's deviating from the Vince program, and Vince is like not trying to lose it, but he does stuff where Vince has to like step in, but he's still trying to be the announcer. He doesn't want, you know what I mean?
yeah. This is during the time where on commentary they're constantly apologizing for Stone Cold Steve Austin's
First Stone
language,
Cold, yeah.
right? They're always like, "I apologize for those comments, those remarks. We don't condone stuff like that." And stuff like that really added to it because you're like, "Wow, this Austin guy is like a maniac." You're just that's what like it's different now because like every week they're saying the F word on AEW and
Yeah.
nobody sells it. Nobody sells it.
And
But this
nobody's even like upset that they say it. They're just like, all right.
exactly, but this is back in the day where even saying ass was like it's a huge no-no, and he was doing it, and people were like upset with that. So, anyways, let's move on. We get a recap of what happened with the Smoking Guns and Sonny, and then Doc Hendricks. He is with a Billy Gunn in the back, and Billy Gunn's talking about his match next. When the camera kind of zooms out, and you see Bart standing right next to him, and Bart's like, "Hey, our match, dude, us, not just you." So they're already showing the split between the Smoking Guns.
Mhm.
We're gonna go to our second match. It's a tag team match. Smoking Guns versus the tag team champions, Davey Boy Smith and Owen Hart, with Clarence Mason. Billy Gunn and Owen Hart, they start the match. Owen Hart's sporting a new haircut here, by the way, that Jim Ross does point out. Sonny is also seen watching from the back, and the commentary is like Jared King still going gaga, and he goes, "Sonny, just wink at me, just wink. That's all I need." And she looks at the camera and she winks, and it's funny because he's like, Jared King was like, she can hear us. I thought that was pretty cool. That was
Yeah, that was.
yeah, that was a cool spot. Um, Bart knocks Billy Gunn off the apron, and the both guns start getting into an argument with each other. But they were like, "All right, let's keep it together. Let's keep it together." They try to keep it together, but Davy Boy Smith causes Billy Gunn to miss the sidewinder finisher of theirs, and then Owen hits his spinning heel kick to win the match, retain the tag titles. See, it's an average match too. Like, okay, this is like the first match in the sense that I know it's not a bad match, but it's also not like an amazing match. It's just like whatever, you know?
Yeah. Also, it's just the second heels versus heels match.
Yeah,
Like,
that's a good point. Yeah.
it's like I don't know. It's like what do you? How many heel versus heel matches are we gonna get?
Yeah.
And it's at the era where people don't want to see heels versus. I think now you can get away with that, but like people don't really want to see it, and I don't know. It just I'm so done. The tag division in '96 is horrible, and I'm done with it.
Yeah. And I think heel versus heel really only works for the most part if it's like the only match on the card that's like that,
Yeah,
usually.
like Austin Hunter works because people kind of like Austin a little bit, like
Yeah.
kind of a
Mhm.
little bit. But it's not all the way yet. But like doing this is like there's no plan to like turn either team good. I mean, maybe Bart Gunn good, but like that's about it. Who gives a shit
Yeah.
about that guy? So I
Yeah.
don't know.
WWF 1996 tag division is just like it's like probably one of the worst tag divisions they've ever had.
Yeah, yeah.
So Hunter is in the back with Ray Rougeau on the hotline, and they're talking. But we cut back to the ring, and Jim Ross, who has now suffered through two matches of his microphone, his headset not working, he gets in the ring and he accuses Vince Jr. of turning his microphone off. And he goes, "This is you have no respect for me. This is why you fired me two times, right?" So Jim Ross, is now basically referring to Vince McMahon Jr. as like the boss. He's making references that this guy is the boss, right? So this narrative that WWE loves to paint that this McMahon character didn't exist, it started after he screwed Bret Hart, is not true at all. They were really started way before they screwed Bret Hart over, like a year before that, you know? Um, Jim Ross promises that I make a promise. Bret Hart's gonna be on Raw because when Bret Hart was in South Africa, I'm the one who went out there, not you, Vince. And Bret, he doesn't like you, Vince. And he says, you know why this company sucks right now is because the owner is an egotistical maniac and he needs two microphones instead of giving me one. Well, you know what? You could take this one too. And then Jim Ross leaves. Uh, very worked shoot promo-ish like thing. You know what? I didn't like it, honestly. How did you feel?
Well, I mean, I think that they were. Well, Jim Ross, that they're painting Jim Ross as the heel. He spoke. Fans will be like, "This guy stinks," right? Like they wanted Jim Ross to be the heel.
Yes,
Um,
yes, I can see that. But it's not working.
it's not working. I think Vince thought, maybe I'll admit I'm the owner, but like you're supposed to like me because I gave you WWE. And I think he didn't figure out that you're not supposed to like him until the Bret Hart thing. So I think he was making himself more of a character. I think he was like, okay, there's more people on the internet, more people know that I'm the owner. Let's play into that. But I think people kind of understood at the time that like even though Vince was the owner, Gorilla Monsoon and the kayfabe was making all the decisions, right? But I think it was just a misguided thing, and I think Vince didn't understand people aren't gonna not people. He bans it next month. They do commentary together, and they're like best friends, Vince and Jim Ross. But I think he didn't realize people aren't gonna hate Jim Ross.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what he's trying to, there's a lot of like, they're trying things out. Like they're really trying to see what's going to work. They're trying to like, they're throwing a lot of things up against the wall. Um,
Mhm.
After this, we get a little recap from the Free for All pre-show. Kevin Kelly was interviewing Farouk about Ahmed Johnson returning and being there actually at the event, and Ahmed Johnson then later gets interviewed, and he goes, "Oh, I'm going to pay back Farouk for what he did to me." And then we get a recap of Ahmed Johnson beating up Farouk with a 2x4 he stole from Jim Duggan. Um, but these guys aren't going to have a match here. I don't. Are they going to have the match later on, or?
These two feud for what seems like 47 years. Like part of me still thinks they're feuding.
Really? What? Because I haven't seen them actually have a match yet at all.
No, what Ahmed was hurt when as soon as Farouk showed up, so they've had to keep delaying it.
Yeah, I see. I'm waiting
And
for
I
it to see
think
on pay per view.
Yeah, and so I think the way they kept delaying it was they just would kayfabe hurt each other so they could keep it going.
Yeah. So after this little video, we see Jim Ross kind of leaving, and he's about the entranceway, and out comes Mr. Perfect, and they start talking, and Mr. Perfect joins commentary because Jim Ross left, and he calls out Stone Cold Steve Austin, and he kind of gives an attitude to both Vince Jr. and Jerry King Lawler. Then we see Mark Merrow and Sable in the back, and Jerry King Lawler. It's one of those things like where in the back they can hear what the commentators are saying. They're having an interview with the commentating team. Jerry
Hmm.
basically makes fun of Mark Merrow for losing to Goldust, and he calls but Merrow's like, "Yo, yeah, I don't care that I lost to Goldust. I'm gonna show Goldust that he's a chump tonight." And that's gonna go to match number 3. It's for the Intercontinental title. Goldust versus Mark Merrow, who is the champion, by the way, with Sable. And Mr. Perfect on commentary mentions, "Hey, we got Diesel and Razor brought in by Jim Ross." And he's also mentioned that he's been mentoring Mark Merrill. So Mr. Perfect's mentoring a lot of people. Merrill takes the fight to
Also,
Goldust.
or they betrays it for Triple H the next night.
Yeah, you know what's interesting? Mark Merrill and Dustin Rhodes, they've had a match in WCW too, right?
Yeah, we talked about that because they've had some matches here, obviously.
Yes,
Yeah.
they've wrestled quite a lot, these two together, right?
And they wrestled at WrestleMania 14 in the mixed tag match with Luna and Sable.
Yeah. No, but they've been wrestling together for a very long time. Two
Yeah.
different companies, yeah. What's interesting is Merrill just like he brings the fight and it's too much so Goldust takes a powder and Junior calls it a powder too. He goes, "Oh, Goldust has to take a powder," and I was like, "Oh, look at that! He used the inside term. That was interesting." Mark Merrill does a somersault plancha, but when he does that, he kind of folds his left leg It looked bad, and he starts limping around, and Jerry King Lawler calls him stupid for doing that move, and I was like, yeah, I kind of agree. And I was stupid. Um, he did a lot of high flying, but a lot of it sometimes it came off really sloppy. And I mean, that's one of the moves. Like he does a lot of flips and stuff, and sometimes like that's when he kicked Austin in the face, and he looked like he hurt himself here. It's just like he doesn't do it as well as you would like him to do.
No,
Jarvis
I also
meant,
think he's
yeah.
lost a step or two since he's gone to WWE in terms of those type of moves.
Yeah, I guess you're right. He lost a step or two. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because the ring's a little bigger, so he has to run a little bit more.
Mm.
Or the ropes are a little more tighter, or I don't know, loose because it's not real cable, it's ropes. Something about it, he's just lost a step. I've heard wrestlers talk about it in interviews that saying like when you go from a smaller ring to that 20 by 20 that WWE uses, because you're running a little extra more, you can get gassed a little faster, if you're not used to that length. So it could be that. Or it could be like Vader, you just fat and out of shape.
Well, he doesn't look bad and out of shape. This guy, he looks
Yeah, no, I'm just making a joke anyway.
okay.
Anyway, during this match,
Boost. All right, Golden.
so then during this match, Goldust gets on the microphone and he tells the crowd to shut the hell up, or I'm gonna stick my tongue down each of your throats, which does get a good reaction from the crowd.
Yeah.
um, and then you know what's happened in this match too? Vince Jr. he takes a dig at Bill Clinton, and you're right. Every once in a while he does this. It had nothing to do with this match. He just brings it up, and he goes like, "Oh, I'm Bill Clinton." I'm like,
I hate that guy.
I hate. That. Yeah, he really doesn't like him. Yeah.
Like, oh man.
Uh, Mark Merrill, by the way, he. I know we just shit on him, but he does hit a really beautiful looking moonsault in this match. Um, And then that fat guy in the red, the Kool-Aid looking guy in the front row, he starts like they were fighting outside right in front of him, and he starts like trolling Goldust, like rubbing him and stuff. And Jerry the King Lawler keeps calling him a woman. I guess that's the only way he could get back at this guy, like that woman. But that guy's annoying. I wish security went and like shoot that guy away because he's not part of the show. Anyways, when this is happening, kind of right there, Mr. Perfect goes to check up on Mark Merrill when Hunter Helmsley comes out and he confronts Mr. Perfect. This allows Mark Merrill to hit the Wild Thing, his shooting star press finishing move to win the match. And after he wins, Mr. Perfect joins Mark Merrill in celebration. C plus. It's still like, slightly better than the other two matches, but still just an average match.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about the Gold Dust matches, and the same thing with the Godwins over the course of '96, they kind of run together, except for WrestleMania 12. It just feels like he's wrestling the same guys every month.
Mm-hmm.
And like this was like, who would be excited about seeing this match again?
Yeah,
Who
exactly.
like,
It's
oh my God, honey, see Mark Merrill and Goldust again? But
like WWF doesn't have a deep enough roster like WCW. So he's doing a lot of the same matches, really is, because when you start going like, who can he use? You realize he doesn't really have a deep roster at this point.
yeah, so it's like, and I don't think this was supposed to be the match. I think it was supposed to be a different match to start. Oh yeah, it was Farouk was supposed to wrestle Wildman. And so they had to have Goldust last second because of the angle. But at the same time, it's like if you ordered this show and you're like, oh, I want to see Farouk versus Mark Merrill, that sounds like fun. And then you get this, you're like, I just saw this shit like fucking 15 times, you know?
Yeah, just that's what happens when you don't have a lot of people
Yeah.
that can go. So Jim Ross, he is in the AOL chat room, not by himself, but with Razor and Diesel. I fucking love that. You could have chat with fake Razor and Diesel if you wanted to. And then we get a great montage of Vader versus Sid, who is the master of the power bomb. And this is going to lead to our penultimate match. But it is not just a match to determine who is the best of the power bomb. It's also a number one contenders match. Winner will face a champion. Out comes Sid to a great big pop from the crowd. People love him. Versus Vader, who comes out with Jim Cornette. Shawn Michaels comes out too, and he he takes Jim Cornette's hanky out and he kicks him out, and then he joins commentary. And Shawn Michaels joining commentary because uh, he wants to see who's gonna be his number one contender. And while he's there, he also turns to Vince Jr. and he goes, "I knew you wouldn't allow me to enjoy my one day off." So I thought that was kind of funny.
Well, that's
Um,
also he does have a dark match. He actually wrestled Goldust in the dark main event,
mm,
so he wasn't
mm.
really off. But I get it. Does he not seem? He seems fucked up. He seems a little drunk or high,
You
Sean.
know what? I didn't notice it because I probably wasn't paying attention, but I believe you. I believe you. I mean, he's admitted this was not a good time in his life. So
His voice is much louder than Vince's. He's kind of yelling. He's kind of like slurring words. I don't know. He seems a little. It seems like he was like, well, since I just got to do commentary, I'm gonna partake in some fucking drugs. You know?
probably, yeah. All right. So during this match, Jim Cornette hits Sid with the racket while Sid's on the floor, and Sid almost gets counted out, but he gets back in the ring. Psycho Sid chants start in the audience as Vader really puts the beat down on Sid, but Sid fights back. He goes off the top rope, but Vader catches him and slams him down and splashes him. Great spot between two big guys. Vader does the second turnbuckle splash, his Vader bomb, but then refuses the 3 count and instead goes, I'm gonna go and do another Vader bomb, but then Sid blocks it, fires back. He knocks Jim Cornette down, who distracts the referee, allowing Vader to low blow Sid. But Vader can't like powerbomb Sid for some reason, because Sid's so big himself. So Sid regains his strength and he choke slams Vader for the win. After the match, Shawn Michaels comes into the ring and he confronts Sid, but because they're friends, they shake hands. See, it's an average match.
It's there to get the job done. It's to give Sid a big win, build anticipation for Shawn Michaels and Sid finally on pay-per-view for the title. That's all it is. It's just there to it's a setup match. That's all it is.
Yep. After this, we get a promo package for the Survivor Series, which is actually going to be taking place at Madison Square Garden. And this is what it
Yeah.
features. It features the Hall of Fame. That's right. They used to the Hall of Fame at Survivor Series weekend, and it is the return of Bret the Hitman Hart. Doc Hendricks starts geeking out. He's like, "Oh my God, Madison Square Garden, the Hall of Fame, Bret Hart." He's freaking out. Uh, when when Vince Jr. interrupts, like, "Hey, calm down! Like, tell you got a job to do," and that annoys Doc Hendricks. Like, "Oh, okay, all right. I'm just trying to sell this pay per view, but all right, fuck that."
He seemed annoyed at Vince. Like it didn't seem like the Doc Hendricks character, Michael Hayes.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't know if this was supposed to be done on purpose or not because throughout the show is everybody's annoyed at Vince
Yeah.
Jr. Right? Jim Ross is annoyed. Shawn Michaels is annoyed at him. Everybody's annoyed at this guy. Mr. Perfect is annoyed with Vince Jr. So many people are supposed to be annoyed with their boss, and I didn't know if this was as well. But if it was, this was done the best. This was by far the best one because he legit like interrupted him and was just like, "All right, can you don't you have a job to do?" And like Doc Hendricks like, "All right, fucking asshole," you know. Um,
Like it was almost like I'm not really excited for this fucking thing, but I'm trying to like sell pay-per-views for you, and you're just a dick to me. You know?
yeah, yeah, that's what it felt like. This was the best one. If this was what also like done on purpose, like a work, this was the best annoyed segment they did with the boss.
Yeah.
So Sid joins Doc Hendricks, but so does Jim Ross. And Sid starts yelling his answers at Jim Ross. And some of it I can't even understand what he's saying because he's like, raw, he's got like marbles in his mouth, but he basically like yeah, like Sid, there's no like middle. Sid's either like saying his words very methodically and slowly and quietly, or he's just yelling at the top of his lungs. It's funny, dude. All right, so let's go to our final match. It is the Buried Alive match. Mankind with Paul Bear versus The Undertaker, who gets this really cool storm entrance where you hear like rain and you get like lightning and thunder, and that's Undertaker's entrance. Really cool stuff. Um, in this match, Foley hits his head really hard against the rails, which he's gonna do a lot in other matches as well. Undertaker does his dive off the top rope to Mankind onto the floor. That's a crazy move by Undertaker, to jump from the top all the way to the floor, but he does it. Um, so the way that this is set up, they have a ring, but near the entranceway, they have like a grave mound built up, right? And they go over there. It's a lot of dirt. They go over there for a second to fight a little bit to kind of let the audience knows, hey, there's a grave over here that we're gonna have to eventually go to. But they come back to the ringside, and I guess a buried alive match is kind of like no DQ because Undertaker uses his he slams Mankind on the steel steps. He uses cables to choke him out. They fight in the fans, and he whips Mankind to the rails, and then he goes over the rails, and then Undertaker does like a running, diving, flying clothesline over the rail, which is pretty cool. And Paul Bear crotches Undertaker on the top ropes, and then he gives Mankind like a pen to use against Undertaker. And it's kind of stupid because like Undertaker's been using all these foreign objects the whole time when a referee can watch, but like Mankind's like hiding that pen when it's like kind of stupid. So Undertaker starts stalking Paul Bear because he's like, you're like causing all this problems against me, and then he gets hit with the urn by Paul Bear when he's distracted, which causes no effect to Undertaker. But then Mankind, he hits Undertaker with a chair and he takes him out. And they fight back over to the graveyard. They fight on the top of the graveyard. They finally go top, and Undertaker hip tosses Mankind into down the what do you call it, the mount of dirt, which is a cool spot. That could have been dangerous, but it's Mankind. It's always going to be dangerous. They go back to the ring, and then Mankind power drives Undertaker, and he pins him. But there's no pinfall in this match, which I thought was kind of funny. Undertaker starts using the chair on Mankind, and Paul Bear, just like he's like making this like Dr. Evil face because he's like, oh, my guy's losing. And then Undertaker takes the steel steps into the ring, and he beats Mankind with the steel steps. And then he tombstones Mankind on the steel steps. Then the Undertaker, because Mankind was tombstoned on the steel steps, he's out. So Undertaker carries Mankind all the way to the grave, up the mount, up to the grave, but Mankind puts the mandible claw on him. And then Undertaker, however, fights back, and he choke slams Mankind into the grave hole, right? And then he shovels some dirt into the hole, enough to kind of cover his body, and that was enough to win the match. There's stuff after this match, but let's just stop right there. What are your thoughts on the match from beginning to end? Let's just go over that first.
I thought it was okay. I mean, I don't think it was anything like fantastic, but it was a fun little brawl. I mean, I don't know. It's just like we've seen a lot of these guys. We've seen a lot of these guys, and they're beating the crap out of you. And I don't know. After a while, it kind of just blends. It's Undertaker Mankind again. It's 1996, and yeah, you know who the guy who helped Mankind was? That's Terry Gordy. That's
Wait, we didn't get to that part yet.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. I will say this. I gave this match a B plus. This is the best match on the card, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. So I like this match. It's good. It's like it's good. You don't want to watch this kind of match all the time, right? And this match only works because there's someone like Mankind in this match who's willing to take really, really unnecessary bumps, right? So that's why it works. So I liked it. Now, let's talk about what happens after this match, okay? So Undertaker's already won, but he won't stop shoveling dirt in there because he's like, no, I hate Mankind. I just want to bury this guy alive and kill him. And referees are coming, hey, Undertaker, you got to stop. So Undertaker starts shoving referees down this grave. Remember, it's like you're on a mound, so he's shoving them down off the mound. They're falling down into the floor. Then all of a sudden, this hooded guy comes out and he hits Undertaker from behind with a shovel. This is the executioner. And who is he?
Terry Gordy.
Terry Gordy. Do you know why he was supposedly brought in?
Favor for Michael Hayes because he was down on his luck.
Correct. That is exactly what most people say. Terry Gordy was his former stablemate from the Freebirds, and Terry Gordy in Japan, he was a big narcotics guy, and he was like brain dead. Like he got in a coma and he was brain dead for a bit, and they finally woke him up. But when they did, he wasn't all there anymore. So he wasn't quick with and all that stuff. He had brain damage. He legit had brain damage, so he was slower. So he was kind of like no longer at his peak, and he was kind of hired as a favor for that. But here he's wearing a mask. He's supposed you can't tell it's Terry Gordy, and they don't ever use that name. He's just the executioner, and he knocked out the Undertaker with a shovel. And then what he does is he throws Undertaker into the grave, and they start putting dirt on him. Mankind got out, and they start putting dirt in there, and then the storm starts again, the thunder and lightning and everything. And then you know what else happens? Goldust comes out. Justin Hawk Bradshaw comes out. Crush comes out. Hunter Helmsley comes out, and they all join in. They all got shovels, and they all join in burying Undertaker as fans are chanting "R.I.P. Rest in peace." They do this for a long time. They almost fill up the grave completely with dirt. And then when it's all done, you hear a really loud thunder sound that scares all the bad guys, and they all run away. And then lightning strikes the grave, like a real lightning bolt strikes the grave, and an Undertaker's hand shoots out of the grave. This is my first time seeing this as a 40-something-year-old man. And let me tell you something. I still thought it was cool as fuck.
Oh, really? Okay. So I've seen this match before, so that's why I was like, all right, whatever. Okay. Do you want to know why they did?
So when did you first see this ending?
98.
Okay, so that's when you were a kid and you thought it was cool, right?
Well, the problem was I had just seen him get burned alive by Kane, so I'm like, did they just do this every few months with this fucking guy? So, I think now looking back, yeah, but I think I was kind of like, it just seemed like every couple of weeks they would like kill him and then he would come back. You want to know why? Know why they did this? You know what? Want to know why this was the finish? Do you want to know what the original plan was?
Yeah. Please tell us.
So Undertaker wanted to drop all the Undertaker stuff and be a biker, and the reason he wanted to be a biker, and you cannot get him to admit this now. Kevin Nash has said this. The reason he wanted to be a biker here and not in 2000 is because if he could be more himself, he could jump to WCW if it felt like it. He can't be Undertaker in WCW. They can sue him. So he really drop like the dead thing and sell more and be like more of a regular guy. And all that happens is like when he returns to Survivor Series, Vince just kind of tweaks the costume a little bit and he gets like a tattoo. But the plan was, when he becomes the biker, I think they let him become the biker. It's like, well, it doesn't even matter if you go to WCW now, it's over, Like, who cares? Go be yourself. There's nowhere for you to go now. You're stuck here, you fucking idiot. But the original thing was Undertaker was like, no, we killed the Undertaker, and then I come back. You can still call me Undertaker, but I'm more like a real person. And that never really happened until years later.
Wow, interesting. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I bet you I don't know if he'll ever admit that.
Well, I think because Kevin Nash and a lot of them knew, I think Vince got a whiff of that. Like, oh, you want to be more yourself so you can eventually jump. And no, they just keep being an Undertaker. It's fine. I think it was smarter to keep him as the Undertaker until 2000. So.
Yeah, I think so.
But
I think Undertaker would admit to that now too. Yeah, it was smarter not to do what I wanted to do.
I can see the reasoning. If he's more himself, if he's just himself, then if Vince tries to fuck him and he has to go join the NWO, if he walks out as Mark Calloway, it's not that big of a shock and it's going to work,
Yeah.
So.
All right.
Well, that's it. That's the show. It was okay. It's just, you know what? If you just want a taste of '96 WWF and shut your brain off for 2 hours, it's not the worst 2 hours. But is it anything like, oh my god, compared to what's going on in WCW? No, it can't compare to WCW in this era. So
No, no way. Yeah, we didn't even watch the October WCW pay per view yet, but I already know they won the month. Like I already know that they won for the month.
so let's go the next 4 weeks. Next week we got Halloween Havoc '96 with Hogan versus Savage. Then in 2 weeks we have Survivor Series '96, which is Sid versus Shawn Michaels. In 3 weeks we have World War III '96, which is just the Battle Royal, 60 man. And in 4 weeks we have In Your House, It's Time with Psycho Sid versus Bret Hart. What are you excited for?
I'm excited for a lot of these because I haven't seen any of
Mm-hmm.
these, but I'll tell you what I'm the least excited for is World War Three. That the three is that the three ring thing?
Yeah, it's a three-ring thing. I don't know
Oh,
why.
I don't want to watch that. That was so bad.
I don't know why they just kept that going. Especially
That
now, you're just
concept is so stupid. The three ring concept thing is so dumb.
you don't need to copy them. You don't need to do it because it just screams like we want a Royal Rumble.
You know what I think? I think that is going to be the month that we are going to say WWF's pay per view is better.
Really good pay per
What?
view. Survivor Series '96 is a very good pay per view.
Wait, so it's up against Survivor Series?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think that one's gonna be the one. Because what's the tally so far? Because like so far, WCW is what like 4-1 in pay per views that we're comparing.
WWF won May of '96. WCW has won June, July, August, September. So yeah, it's 4-1 right now.
4-1, and this I can already tell this one is gonna be 5-1. We're talking about this month, October, right? It's gonna
Yeah.
be. We haven't reviewed the WCW pay per view yet, but I can already tell, right? 5-1 because it's Halloween Havoc. So that's a lot. I would say the world against World War III. I feel like World War III is just gonna end. That three ring concept is just not a good idea. So I think that's gonna be the one where we both of us are gonna like the WWF pay per view more.
But, but I will say this: they still have to have undercard matches at WCW, and they have a hell of a roster.
True that. True. We'll see.
So
We'll see.
have,
It'll depend on how good the undercard is.
if you have three bangers in the undercard, it doesn't even matter if that battle royal stinks. So
That's true. If the undercard is that good, it can buy a good undercard will sometimes excuse a shitty main event. Yes, I will admit to that. Yeah, that's true.
so let's see. I have never seen that show. I've never seen any of the WCW shows moving forward until we get to Uncensored '98. So the verdict is out for a lot of them, but we're gonna have to watch them to find out exactly
We
what we're
will.
in.
I'm excited. I'm actually curious now just to see if which pay per view is going to be better.
I'll tell you what. Halloween Havoc and Very Live are both gonna be better than next WrestleMania 41. But it is what it is. Another year down, brother. Do you ever sometimes think to yourself like, "Wow, it's another WrestleMania down, another year out of my life"?
No, I
And
never think like that. No, I never think like that. That thought has never ever occurred in my head. I swear. Do you really think like that?
yeah, every WrestleMania we're closer to death, bro. But I mean, we're not further away from death. Oh, Cody Rhodes won the belt.
No,
I don't like
this is true. It's true. That's true.
I get 20 years of my life.
That's a very bleak way to look at WrestleMania. But yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
We're closer to death, and we sit here, we go like, who's gonna win? Who's gonna win? And the truth is, death wins. So,
Yeah.
all right, guys. You know what? I am curious. I was trying to say this earlier. I'm curious the year where they start having like things around town that have nothing to do with WWF WrestleMania week. I think it's like 2011 or 2012. But I am curious, like, because it's definitely not 13. I don't think no one's doing anything on WrestleMania 13. But like, what year is it where like it becomes like a week-long celebration beyond just WrestleMania and Raw?
I think as we're watching, this is years from now. So,
Yeah,
I mean, we will actually be able to pinpoint it. The kind of the same way we're pinpointing kind of like how when you
yeah.
start seeing the McMahon character come into play and stuff. So we'll
But this
pinpoint.
this week of WrestleMania, like, there's all this stuff happening all over town. It kind of snuck up on me. Like, I kind of would just watch WrestleMania and then go about my life, and then like around 2018, 2019, I'm like, oh shit, there's like stuff all week long. It's not just WrestleMania. And now I can't imagine it ever going back to where nothing happens, we have WrestleMania, and then we move on with our day.
Mhm.
All right, guys, that's our time. Join us next week. Subscribe to the podcast, leave a comment, and we'll see you next week for Halloween Havoc, brother.